Hey, what's going on, everybody? Take a look at the saloon behind me, and if you like what you see, stick around because I'm going to walk you through every step of the way on how to bring this thing into your world. Now, I do have to call out that I won't be showing you like all the interior decorating and all the little placements of every stool. However, I'm going to show you how to create this balcony as well as the bar that I'm sitting at. I just think the video would have been far too long to cover every single little detail, but I'll at least walk you through where my thought process was, so that might inspire you to build something very similar. And make sure you hit that subscribe button for more LEGO Fortnite tutorials. But that's enough of me yapping. Let's get right into the build. Okay, so for step number one, we're going to create our foundation out of these 16 by 16 by 2 wood foundation blocks. This is going to be 4 wide by 6 deep. So we're going to start off by putting down the 4 in the front, and then from here we're just going to create some more rows until we have 6 in total. Next, we're going to begin setting the floor pieces for our front deck, or like porch, whatever you want to call it. Now, you can use any one of the pieces that are available. In this case, we're going to use the 16 by 16 by 1 shack wide floor. So as long as you're using those dimensions, you can use any types of different colors. The reason I recommend going with this particular floor, though, is it works very well with this style of build. Now we're going to go to our walls and get the 2 by 16 by 12 log window 4, and we're going to put this against the floors we just put down, but nudge it over 4 studs. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. And you might be wondering, well, why are these flipped reverse? Well, I chose to do this because not only does it give it a unique look from the outside, this is also going to give an absolute unique look to the interior of your saloon. So like once we have these down, then we're going to go into the walls again, and we're going to locate the umber wall. This is again a corner piece, a 2 by 2 by 12, and we're just going to put these against the outside edge there on both sides. Now this next part, I just put a log pillar 2 in there. I don't know why, but you could use any 2 by 2 by 12. I just recommend making sure that the wood matches the windows that you're putting in. From there, we're going to start filling in the door area. We're going to start with the fort wall 2. We're going to flip those things around. Now, I like the design of those, and it kind of gave this little weird aesthetic with the new little line. It's a little different from the design of the windows. So again, you could feel free to use any parts as long as they're the same dimensions here. But we're going to put one of those on both sides of the windows there. And then from here, we're going to go in and grab this log door 2. This is the 2 by 12 by 12. We're going to place one down like that. And then last, what we're going to do is fill this in with another 2 by 2 by 12 corner, just making sure that the wood choice or whatever material you're using matches the color of the wood. From there, we're going to get the 18 by 16 by 6 shack roof 3. Now, I don't know what just happened there, but it looked kind of odd how that snapped on. The goal here, though, is to make sure that you've got it attached to those little nubs hanging off the wall like you can see there. We want to leave room so we can stack up the wall behind it. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're just going to take the same piece, and we're going to start to snap these in and move them over. Now, like, they're not center for me here, so this is why you'll see what I do here is just nudge it over until I reach the outside of the wall, and then I'll just break these down because those are kind of like not in the position we want. But now once we have one towards the outside edge, grab the same piece, and we're going to snap 3 more into that existing one, and that should give us covered all the way across. Next, I'm choosing to use the 2 by 2 by 12 log pillar 2, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to basically snap this in the corner. Now you want to make sure that it's hanging over your deck floor there, and we're going to snap one more in the ground so that it's an actual support that runs all the way down versus just ending at the floor there. And we're going to place 4 of these across. Now you can choose to do a different pattern if you'd like. You can make them closer together with a larger number of pillars, but in this case I'm just using 4, and again snapping them in at the bottom so these supports are running into the ground. Now we're going to place some half walls behind the roof pieces we just put up. These are the 2 by 16 by 6 rustic interior half walls. We're just going to go ahead and snap 4 of these across the back, just like that. Now for this next part, I want to reiterate, I'm actually standing on the inside, so you'll see that the logs are facing towards us for these windows that we're going to be putting in. Now this is the 2 by 16 by 12, but as I said earlier, we're actually going to have these rotated the opposite way. So we're going to have these things 4 studs apart from each other. So that's going to be on the corners 4 studs, as well as 4 studs in between each window. And we're going to have 3 of them across the top. So here's a look from the outside and what it should look like. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our wall section here. We're going to be grabbing some, I call them like the double wides. This is actually the 2 by 4 by 12 log wall 2, and we're just going to snap these in between. And then again here on the outside, we're going to take the smaller one, which is the 2 by 2 by 12 umber wall, and this is going to go on that outside corner to continue that striped edge of different color bordering around the outside. And then lastly, what we'll do here is we're going to fill this in with a 2 by 2 by 12 log wall 1 on both sides here. I'm laughing at myself right now because this could totally be done like at any point of the build, but whatever. Let's just drop these things in here. We're just going to grab some stairs and snap them in. It's just going to create a little step up for us. Now let's add some more height to the building. We're going to use the 2x16x6 rustic interior half walls. These should be in your favorites because we just used these. And then from here, we're going to move into the smaller variant of this piece to fill out the edge here. It's going to be the 2x4x6, and we're going to stack in 3 more of these. We're going to leave those outside edges open there for our umber half wall to be placed in. This is right near the ones that we've just used, so go ahead and get the 2x2x6 umber half wall and finish that off. And like most traditional Western style buildings, there's this little extra bump of height at the top. We're gonna grab the 2x16x6. We're gonna make sure it's good and center. We're gonna nudge it actually back towards the back of the building, and we're gonna snap 2 of those in together, just making sure that that's nice and centered up on the top there. Next, let's go into our fence pieces, and we're gonna grab the 1x16x2 rustic railing 3. Now, the whole idea here is we're gonna have to want to nudge it all the way towards the outside edge of our top wall there, and we're just gonna snap these in all the way across. Now, you might be struggling from the ground here like me. If you are, use some stairs, that might help you out. But 4 of these 1x16x2s will get you all the way across the top line of that roof. Now, doing the sign is going to be quite a challenge to explain, so just bear with me. We're going to start with a pressure plate, and what this is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to do some directional building. So what we want to do here is flip some floors onto the top portion of this wall so that we can start to place down letters. Now, what I recommend using here for the free-to-play parts is going to be these wood floor pieces. Now, I believe these are part of the Pleasant Park set, and what we're going to want to do is get a nice angle on the side here until you can get it to lay right on the wall. Now, from this point, we're gonna nudge it over just a slight bit, and if it's green, you've done it right, but this does take a little bit of patience, and I recommend lining it up to make sure that this is good in center on your wall. Now, what I've done here is you'll notice I did take a step back, and I could tell that the center window there is a little bit off center from where my sign's going to be, so I went back in here to place down some floor pieces. This is going to be super helpful for you if you are struggling to get into the front of the wall to knock a piece down. But once again, we're just going to make sure that this is good in center. We're going to want the sign to look very nice up the middle of the wall here, and we're going to snap about like 6 of these together over here, and we're going to add another 2 over here on this side after we got rid of our pressure plate, and then another 2 on both sides. So we're going to put one here on the left, and then we're going to move over here to the right and snap 1 more in on the end, just like that. So next up, don't be alarmed because I'm using a different color floor piece. I chose to go with the Noble Castle floor from Lion Knight's bundle, as well as the Beachy railing corners from Beachy Boulevard. But if you stuck with the previous color wood, what I recommend doing is going into your fence pieces and finding any of the brown colored rail corners. And for these letters, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna create like 5x5 block letters. Now this is gonna be a great size to fit across this size of the sign that we've got going on here. And now the other thing to note too is you're gonna have to actually put 2 complete spaces in between each one of your letters to have them good and centered on this sign, as well as just having a very consistent spacing throughout. Now you can see the way that we're doing this A here, it's pretty self-explanatory as long as you're following kind of the size guide here. But you'll notice here I made a mistake and I only went 1 space apart. So I knocked this down, and again, just making sure that your letters are 2 spaces apart. And from here, you can just continue to draw letters on in the style that you'd like. Feel free to make adjustments, do some different things. You don't have to follow this exact thing. Oh, and now I'm getting slapped by a, yeah, we're gonna go have to take care of him real fast. Now, it definitely wouldn't be the Wild Wild West without a nice little tussle outside the saloon. Now we can get back to building. So we'll go ahead and time lapse this a little bit quicker here because it does take a minute for me to get these letters on properly. But as I said before, as long as you stick with the 5x5 width and height rule for the block letters and create the 2 spaces in between each letter, this is going to have you looking really good once it's all said and done. Now for the end there, I just did a little diagonal line connecting the top and the bottom and made a few little adjustments there. But all in all, that's what it should be looking like once it's finished. Now we're going to use a 1x16x2 railing. Now this is the Acres railing, but there's another free-to-play one that looks very similar. As long as you're following these dimensions, we're going to end it off with a 1x8x2, and we're going to flip one here on the corner. Same thing here, 1x8x2. and we're gonna snap it in. Sometimes these can actually just be a little bit tricky to get in, so just be patient with this part. As always, sometimes the directional building can be a bit frustrating to get things lined up, so feel free to put down some stairs like I did here to find your angles. But all we're gonna do is take a combination of these 1x16x2s and the 1x8x2, I believe it was, to create a nice framework around the outer edge of our sign. Now that the front's done, we're going to start with this log wall too. This is the 2x4x12. We're going to stack 2 of those on top of each other. And what you'll notice here, if you try to do another one, it's not going to accept that wall. So we're going to actually have to move down and grab the rustic interior half wall. You can do the full one. I don't know why I did the halves, but just go ahead and add those in. And then next what we're going to do is move over to the log window 1. Now we're going to snap one in, again, making sure that the log parts are flipped inward. And now the important part here is we're going to put 2 of these 2x4x6 interior half walls there, because the spacing on the windows on some of these western buildings, they're not really stacked right on top of each other. So we want to match what we've done towards the front. So then once you've got that second window on, go ahead and just put another 2 of those half walls up there. And then from here, we can start to add in some of the other walls to create some spacings between our windows. Now, I have the filter on right now, but I highly recommend doing the filter as well. But we're going to use the log wall 5, which is the 2x16x12. And we're just going to stack 3 of these on top of each other before we start to add the rest of the wall. Now, I have no idea why I cut here and went to the interior, but we're going to use the same 2x16x12 walls. And we're going to add 2 more of these next to the ones we just put down. And we're going to stack these the same way we did it. We're just going to do them 3 in height. Next, we're going to use the same 2x8x12 windows here, and rather than stacking them up like I just did here, remember, we want to keep some half walls in between there, so don't do that. What we're going to do is actually stack the half walls between this window and the next one, like I'm showing you right here, and then just stack another 2x8x12 log window up top there, and finish it up with some of the log half walls. And then from there, the other walls that you're seeing to the right that I didn't show putting down, those are just going to be those log walls, and we're just going to fit those in till we get to the back corner. So once I get these in, we'll hop down and take a look. You're just going to add those walls until we have a little bit, 2 studs it looks like there on the back corner. From here, what we're going to do is find ourselves going back to the umber wall, if we can find it in our menu. There it is. It's the 2x2x12 umber wall, and we're just going to stack those all the way up the back to cap it off. Now from here, I recommend just following the exact same window pattern and wall pattern we did on the other side. As you can see, I did add a little bit of an additional set of windows there right up the middle. However, I think I knocked those out and added a bathroom, which you'll see in the final product. It's not going to be a part of this tutorial, but I will talk a little bit how you can add that as well. Okay, and so for like the 100th time, we're using another 2x2x12. This time, it's actually the rustic pillar. We're just going to stack 3 of these up against that umber wall that we put there on the outer edge. We're going to do the same thing on the other side here. So just get 3 of those stacked up, and then it'll be time to put in some of our windows. And like I've said before, you don't have to follow this exact same thing, but here's what I'm doing is the 2x16x12. I'm putting those on the both ends here, and then we'll have to continue to use these rustic interior half walls up the back here just to make sure that the windows are even with the other ones we've done on our side and our front walls. And then from here, we can go back into the log walls. This is going to be the single window. Now, again, I highly recommend using this filter option here while building this. I didn't use it as much as I should, but we're going to get the log window. No, it's the 3, not the 2. The log window 3, which is the 2x16x12. We're going to stack one right there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And we're going to finish off this top portion of these walls back using this rustic interior half wall. Then to break the pattern up a bit, I'm using the Fort Wall 4. This is the 2x16x12. We're just going to stack 3 of these on top of each other. And we're going to grab the smaller version, which is the 2x8x12, and do the same thing. Just go ahead and fill in that gap until you reach the ceiling. Then for the interior floors, I use the rustic wide floor, the 12x12x1, and the larger 16x16x1, I believe. So I recommend covering as much area with the larger floor piece, and then use the rustic wide floor, the 12x12x1, to complete like the outer edge. And then from here, there's going to be like a little small corner here. You could fill that in using the 8x4x1 rustic floor, and then finish it off with the rustic floor 1, which is the 4x4x1. Then to fill in the roof, I just use these shack wide floor pieces. I use a combination of a bunch of different sizes to really just go around the outer edge of the top side of the walls. And then I added these rustic railings that are also in this kind of fence area here. So feel free to add those or any type of floor of your choice to cover up your ceiling. Now here are some ideas of the things you can do on the interior of this building. So for example, I just placed down a stair set. Now actually I would highly recommend probably doing some floor pieces off your wall first to get this lined up properly. It just so happened to me that I placed it in the perfect spot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a little like balcony overhang around this outside edge using the rustic wide floor pieces. Now you're gonna have to kind of bounce back and forth between some larger and smaller pieces because you will run into the walls themselves. I then realized this might be a little too narrow up top here, so I just added some more of these 8x8x1 rustic floor pieces here around the outer edge until I reached the pretty much the wall there. And then from here, what you'll see is there are some gaps and things that you'll have to fill in around the outside edge. And then unfortunately, there are some sections where there is a slight gap. I just recommend covering them up by putting some of these thin floor pieces down. This is kind of unnecessary, but then again, it does create a nice little line around the back and the outside of the wall, but totally optional. It's something. Then I added some railings that you can see here off on the left. Those are the rustic railings, and then added some more flooring. In this case, I used the 16 by 16 by 1 to create like an L shape. And the same thing goes here. Once you get to the other side, you're going to close up some of the gaps, and then also do the same thing towards the top of your balcony. Then let's add some more rustic railings so we're not going to be falling down on our head from up top here. Now once you get to the edge there, you can either leave it or add some little railing corners. I mean, honestly, it's not going to be that noticeable. Then I added a like L-shaped bar here in the back left corner. Now these are the traditional countertops that have storage in them. You can find these in the, I think it's like the table section under building parts. But anyways, once you get to this corner here, you can use the traditional corner and start to extend your bar towards the back. But all in all, this is all kind of like personal preference. I'm just going to kind of gloss over here, and then we'll look at the finished interior, and I'll talk you through exactly how I was able to get the designs and aesthetic of the final build that I was able to come up with. All right, so what you can tell is we've done a lot of different things inside of the saloon, including adding a lot of different tables and chairs, some decor items, as well as like some of these rustic beams and supports that I've done around the door frame, around the outer edges and corners of the saloon, as well as up above along the ceiling. And then I switched up the railings to the Seaport, I think they are called Seaport railings from the Pirates Life bundle, so you could really mess around with different railing styles and stuff like that. I've also added the piano over there. We've got some shelving units that I put up along the walls here that I haven't really hung much up on them just yet, but we've got our stools around our bar. And another cool thing you can do, this is a tip for bars, is you can add some thin floor pieces up on the top and then leave a section of it wide open here. It almost looks like kind of like an actual traditional bar you would see out in real life. We've got some various other kind of countertops back here with some decor pieces. We've got our juicer, more tables and decor. So the theme here is just like really just dress it up and add stuff all over the place. We've got beams running across the top of the ceilings, a couple things hanging off the edge of the walls. And like I was talking about earlier, right here, we actually have the bathrooms that I've done. And so this is supposed to represent women's and this is the men's, and this was pretty easy. Basically knocked out these walls here, left a little bit of an opening, dropped some beams up top there, and closed, made a little like kind of like open doorway. We've got our sinks, and then back here is a little hidden wall for the toilets. And it's basically the same exact thing on the women's side here. We've got our toilets and we've got the sinks there. Now the sinks are just little barrels with wood or water in them, so not anything too special, but then again, this is the wild, wild west, right? Up top here, nothing too crazy going on. And we've got lights hanging all throughout underneath the balcony overhang, as well as up on the ceilings there. You don't really need a lot of light in here. It goes a long way. And then lastly, all I've done was added some benches to the actual like porch area. And you can see how this was constructed. It's just basically the shack roof pieces with some walls that I put in here and some supports. And hopefully tonight I'm able to get our cow, because we're going to need him to stock up the bar with some chill berry shakes and all that good stuff. And then I added a railing up top there. I'm moving along really quick, sorry about that. And then we've got, I gotta close that gap, but we've also like dressed up the top portion of the roof with some more of those rustic railings. And then the last thing I did was just added a couple more of the beams, or the rustic, I think they're called umber walls or something like that, across the sides here to give it a little bit more depth and dimension. And as the sun sets, you can see here, it actually looks really cool lit up. But all in all, I hope this gave you some inspiration and some different ideas of things you can do to the interior. We could be here all day trying to explain all the stuff I did. That's why I just wanted to do a quick like 2-3 minute run through to give you a little bit of inspiration. If you enjoyed today's tutorial, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more LEGO Fortnite tutorials and content. I cover a wide array and have so many other videos you should go check out. So when you're done here, go ahead and check out some of my other content. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm signing off for the day. I will catch you all in the next one.